Um, Hello, everyone. My name is Emily Oneschuk. I'm the Grassroots Campaign Director for Massachusetts for Mental Health Options. I grew up in Wakefield, Massachusetts, to an amazing family. My parents are actually here today. My parents. Supporting me in this endeavor to endorse House Bill 4255. And I want to thank the members of the committee for giving this opportunity to tell my story. And I also want to thank James Davis. Hi, James. And the Bay Staters for the excellent community work they have done and all the progress they've made for the movement within the state. I was born on Andrews Air Force Base to a family of Navy pilots, and that guided the direction of my life. I've always been a thrill seeker, a go-getter, a leader, and at the age of 12, I had a firm dream of being a Navy pilot myself. That dream led me to flying lessons, an ROTC scholarship, and eventually a commission in the Navy. My younger brother, Andrew, was also fascinated with the military. And unfortunately, his insatiable curiosity, combined with the darker corners of the internet, led him down a horribly tragic path. He was radicalized online at 12 years old by white supremacists, and despite my parents doing everything in their power to help him, his association with these groups eventually led to his murder shortly after his 18th birthday, which was 6 weeks before I went to SEAL Officer Assessment and Selection as the nation's first ever female Navy SEAL candidate. The sudden loss of Andrew turned my world upside down. As I was helping to plan my little brother's funeral, I was fielding media requests about his murder and watching my SEAL candidacy make national headlines. One morning, I was listening to an NPR story about me, the first female Navy SEAL candidate, and directly after came a story about my brother's murder. It was surreal. When I showed up to assessment in Coronado, California, no one knew what I was going through. And it became quickly evident that people there were passionate in their thoughts about my presence, either rooting for me to succeed or willing me to fail. With everything going on, I still believed in myself, and I knew that I had the grit it took to get through that process. But more than that, I wanted to show my friends and family, and really the world, that a woman could do this. But willpower can only get you so far. On the last day of that assessment, during a round of surf torture, I was being slammed by waves, freezing, numb, and tired, and my will finally gave way. And for the first time, I let myself ask the question, what is this really for? And I realized I had no answer. In that moment, I knew that all of the motivation driving me was for someone and something else. None of it was because I wanted to be there. With that gone, I realized I had no reason to be there at all. So I quit and walked off the beach to a mix of disheartened gasps and enthusiastic cheers. I went back to my barracks, took the world's hottest shower, and felt a huge wave of relief. After I left selection, I pursued a spot in the explosive ordnance disposal community, another highly esteemed position within Navy Special Forces. I was accepted into the program, completed my training, and after I was commissioned, but it wasn't long before a similar sense of disillusionment caught up to me. My time in the Navy still leaves me feeling conflicted. I met incredible people, I made fierce friendships, and had amazing opportunities, one of which was running a refugee camp after the fall of Afghanistan. And I also experienced sexual harassment, sexual assault, bullying, and a deep, persistent inner moral conflict. After a tumultuous 4.5 years of active duty service, I was honorably discharged as a conscientious objector. Leaving the Navy was the most difficult decision of my life, but I knew in my core that I couldn't stay. My dreams had let me down, and I felt like it was my fault. After building my entire life around the Navy, I had nothing to move on to. I couldn't make sense of the world, I couldn't save my brother, and I didn't know how to keep going. After I was released, the mental and emotional toll, the passing of my brother in combination with the events of my service, was indescribable. A combination of depression, PTSD, and anxiety destroyed the life and energy I once had. I hid my misery the best I could, but the pride and excitement I had woken up to my whole life had vanished, and I was left hollow, alone, and in pain. I spent the next year traveling the world with my closest friends, and as I sat in some of the most beautiful places on the planet with people who loved and cared about me, I was still engulfed in a deep sense of despair. It didn't seem to matter what I did, where I went, or who I was with. The vivacious, caring person I had always loved being was gone, and I didn't know if she'd ever come back. I sought help through the VA and quickly realized that the resources they were providing me with wouldn't be enough. I was grateful for the care I received, but I knew if I was going to get better, I was going to have to figure it out on my own. After going through what seemed like every possible treatment, from talk therapy to art therapy to somatic therapy and everything in between, I had almost given up and accepted weariness as my permanent state. But I knew there was one avenue I hadn't tried yet. A year earlier, I had read How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan, which is the classic primer on all of this, which introduced me to the idea of psychedelics as a mental health treatment. And with this in the back of my mind and a stroke of very good luck, I was introduced to the HOPE Project, a nonprofit that funds female veterans and military spouses to attend plant medicine retreats abroad. The HOPE Project brought me to Jamaica for a week-long psilocybin retreat. I didn't know exactly what to expect, but what I found was an open, loving community of women invested in each other's well-being. Before the HOPE Project, I had not been around a supportive group of women quite like this, and being in their company was one of the pieces of myself I didn't know I was missing. In addition to the strong community atmosphere, the psilocybin ceremonies at the retreat opened my eyes and completely changed the trajectory of my healing. I was finally able to feel and process the depth of my pain in a way I couldn't do anywhere else. I left Jamaica with a glimmer of hope that I hadn't had in years. Psychedelics did not magically solve all my problems, but they were the key to unlocking parts of my brain and self that I couldn't access before. And once these parts were unlocked, I could finally feel the anger I had been pushing down for so long and admit to myself that I had been hurt. Psychedelics let me take off the armor that had been protecting me and finally re-engage with the joyful, peaceful parts of myself I had become so distant from. I was able to feel connected and grateful in a way that helped make all the hardship make sense. Psychedelics were the first crack in the dam that let the healing flood in for me. And I think it's very important to say that these results did not come without a great deal of hard work on my end. This is not a magic pill. Psychedelic therapy will open the door for you, but you have to step through it. The whole process of my psychedelic experience and the community associated with it has profoundly improved my quality of life, and I feel the effects of my time in Jamaica and that community to this day, obviously. The HOPE Project brought me exactly where I needed to be to become a healthier and happier person. I feel like most of growing up is actually a process of trying to get back to the kid you were at 12 years old. That kid who was carefree, who didn't worry about their appearance or about fitting in, a kid who didn't try to be anyone other than themselves. Psychedelics have helped me get back to that, to being myself, and it feels really good. Really, really good. I want people to have the option to feel like themselves again. I know a lot of people lose that along the way. And I want that not just for veterans like me, but for everyone, right? Overworked teachers, tired nurses, high-pressure police officers, exhausted caregivers, and stressed-out parents, because who's not a stressed parent? This won't fix our whole system, but it will help people, and it is an important piece in a complex solution. Massachusetts needs more mental health options, which is why I strongly endorse House Bill 4255.
Thank you. I just am awed by your courage and the journey you've taken, and just feel really honored to have heard that story.
Thank you. I owe a lot of that to those very cool people sitting on that bench over there. So
Parents are great, aren't they?
parents are so great.
Sir, it's next.